Last episode you traveled with us as we explored the Bay of Cadiz and sailed from there past Cape Trafalgar to Barbate, our jumping off point as we head for Africa, our first new continent, and we were both pretty excited and nervous as we set out. The crossing from Barbate to Tangier involved crossing the Gibraltar Strait, something that I'd read and worried about for over a year now. The strait is a pinch point for water that floods into the Mediterranean due to evaporation from the smaller enclosed sea, and outwards due to tidal influences. Quite a few sailors experience really high winds there as well, since any east or west winds are funneled between the coast of Spain in the north and the African coast of Morocco on the south. And occasionally the winds blow from the east rather than the west, and then you have some real fun as the wind against tide can build up some really nasty sharp seas. However, we planned this segment of the journey carefully to take advantage of both the tide and favorable winds. At least I hope so. But first it's time to top up our diesel tanks as we used a little bit of fuel on our way down from Cadiz. We really do try to use our sails as much as possible, but we also need to keep the tanks topped up, especially as we don't know if it'll be difficult to get fuel in a new port like Tangier.
This almost doesn't look real on camera. The sea's so blue and the sky's so blue.
We checked out of Barbate Marina and we are we've gone out down the shore and we're anchored now. And it was a long sail to where our current anchorage is. It probably took us 18 minutes, probably 23 with anchoring. So. It's been a long voyage. We're trying to put together our killer lure here. We've got our famous Dipsy diver that we used for our last catch, and that's what drags the lure really nice and deep, and we can set the depth and how much it goes from side to side by using this. And then we've got our new lures, which are not as good as our previous lure, but they're still the squiddy ones, and of course the obligatory corks to keep them from stabbing anybody. So now I just need to rig this all up. And what I'm going to do is go put a steel leader on there in between. So my new steel leaders I've just rigged up. That goes onto the Dipsy diver.
Can you explain what a steel leader is?
Steel leader is actually, as it says, it's a piece of braided steel cable, basically. So nothing can bite through it. Now our problem here is that these things are on nylon line, basically, or whatever the monofilament line. So we might lose them, but we're going to give that a try. See what we do.
What you doing?
Hello. Help. Help me. She-Lopes got me.
Dad's cocooning himself in Mosquito Net because he gets eaten alive every single night. I can't tell if you've just given up and stopped moving or...
It's not really a birthday without cake, and since we planned to cross the Straits of Gibraltar on Dad's birthday, I had to devise a way to surprise him for his big day. I told him I was going to cook him dinner and meal prep our food for the next day, which I did, but I also baked a chocolate cake, as that's his favourite, and got a few other surprises ready. Mum had sent me off at the very start of this trip, prepared with a few presents for Dad, which we smuggled into my luggage. He was pleasantly surprised by the whole thing, and somehow hadn't smelt that delicious chocolate cake baking.
I was looking at the tides. Do you want me to light?
I feel like you can't really light your own birthday candles.
God, it looks like a forest fire. Fire on board! Fire on board!
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to Dad, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
You look like you set your beard on fire for a second there.
Oh. Oh man, I almost missed that one. Woo. I was being complacent. Time to head off for Tangier. Just leaving Barbate now. Tenerife is that way. Tangier is that way. So it's, looks like an okay day. One of our problems is the wind is a little bit on our nose as we are trying to make about 170-degree tack. And right now we're either at 208 or we're at about 140, 135. So not ideal. So we're hoping the wind comes around a little bit more, and then we should broad reach across rather than close hold like we are right now. That is the coast of Africa, which is pretty darn cool. I remember the first time crossing the channel when I saw the Belgian coast. That was pretty cool. This is a new continent, so that is very, very cool. We are heading across the Straits now. We're on the wrong tack, really, but we'll tack out and we'll let the current sweep us down to Tangier. Very exciting. Well, we've seen whales, we've seen, I think it was a skate or a sunfish. We've had absolutely beautiful blue azure water. We're slowing down. We've reefed the Jenny. We're now only doing 7 knots. So absolutely cracking sail across the Straits. Anybody who's worried about it, anybody who's worried about crossing the Straits of Gibraltar, it's not even as bad as Dover. I definitely recommend AIS for anybody that's sailing around busy shipping channels because it lets the ship see you if you have a transponder as well as you see them. Very, very important. We had a tanker coming at us. I was able to call him up. He saw us on AIS and just tweaked his course by a degree, passed 3 miles behind us, no problem. So what a beautiful day.
Remember the star pointing up.
Yep. to Tangier. Actually, we gone through customs and immigration. No problems at all. They're very nice, very quick. It was about half an hour, 45 minutes maybe. We've got to go up to the marina office now and pay, and that's it. I definitely recommend stopping in here. It was much easier than I thought it would be.
How were people when we came to the pontoon?
Oh yeah, they were very helpful. We had 2 people come and help us take the lines, and then pre-register to the boat on an app, before we even walked in. It was all very good, and they reminded us of all of our paperwork.
And which documents did you need to show them?
Well, we had to take our passports, ship's registration, and insurance documents. I think that was it.
And what else did they ask for?
They asked our jobs. Yeah, they had a problem with IT consultant, which is what I am. It's a consultant informatique in French. So now you know, in case you're an information consultant. And that was it, pretty much.
And they came on board?
Yeah, the customs, that's a pretty standard thing when you're clearing into new countries. The customs agents came on board and had a cursory look around. They asked about drones, but we'd read about that you can't bring a drone into the country, and we don't have one anyhow, darn it. And of course no firearms or anything like that. So they took a look around. We had made a list of everything on board, well, pretty much everything on board, in case they needed more detail, but they didn't. It was all very, very cursory.
So we're going to take the Q flag down now, are we?
Yes, we had the Q flag. Actually, we were gotten a bit of a rush as we were coming in because there were a million little fishing boats all over. There were lobster pots right in front of the marina entrance. I called them a lobster pot. It was a bleach bottle with a line on it. So we were running around a little bit, and I put the Q flag up on the wrong side. Of course, it's supposed to go on the port spreader rather than the starboard spreader, but they didn't have any problem with that either. They were very nice, very pleasant, weren't they?
Yeah, very nice.
From behind the camera.
And what about the approach to the marina?
Yeah, that was. I didn't have a pilot guide or anything, but there's the new the new harbor wall, the breakwater, goes all the way across to the old fishing harbor. So you just look for that. About 300 meters off to the port of that or left of that is a danger marker, isolated danger marker. Just stay between those two and keep your eyes peeled for bleach bottles. And then you come in, and as you come in, it's a sharp 90-degree turn, and you come down another mole around the corner, and that's the visitor pontoon. You'll see it on the there's a good information site on the web from the marina itself.
They'll likely have someone here guiding anyone in if it's during the day, won't they?
It would seem so, yeah. We had the marina manager here, plus one of his guys who was kind of like our concierge to show us around, take us to immigration, take us to customs, and then he said 15 minutes and we're going to run it up to the office and pay and everything.
We didn't take our video cameras with us, since we were a little worried about how people in Morocco might feel about us filming them. As usual, people were pleasant, smiling and curious about what we were up to. But we did take our DSLR cameras and took hundreds of pictures. Our big regret was not taking the train further into the country. But we'll save that for our trip out of the Med, as we head for the Canaries in a few years' time.